a hidden camera, a $140 million court victory, a leaked racist rant. Hulk Hogan's last decade had more plot twists than any WWE storyline, except none of this was scripted, and by the time the final bell rang, even his fans didn't know what to believe. Wrestling's physical toll mounts. Before Hulk Hogan's scandals, lawsuits, or drama, his biggest enemy was the ring itself. By the early 2000s, decades of slamming bodies and dropping legs had wrecked his own. Let's start with the move that made him famous, the leg drop. Every match ended with it, but landing flat on your tailbone over and over, that crushed his spine. Doctors said it was like jumping off a step stool and landing wrong. Do that thousands of times and it adds up fast. Hogan had surgery after surgery. His knees replaced, his back fused multiple times. By 2024, he'd had 25 surgeries, including knee replacements and multiple back fusions. In interviews, he talked about crawling to the bathroom some mornings. "I have a ton of scars," he once said. Fans thought it was an exaggeration until they saw him walk. But it wasn't just wrestling. In the 80s and early 90s, Hogan admitted to using steroids. That's not shocking for the era, but he later testified in court about how it damaged his heart and joints. The same drugs that built his body also helped break it down. Archival clips show him leaping off ropes and posing like a god, but medical records tell a darker story: bone spurs, nerve damage, spinal compression. It wasn't fake pain. It was real damage with a fake smile. And the timing made it worse. As his fame faded, the injuries piled up. There were no standing ovations in recovery rooms, just more painkillers, more rehab, more surgery. Wrestling made him a legend, but it also made him a patient. By 2005, fans and insiders noticed slower movements, reflecting his physical decline. Behind the scenes, people noticed he was hunched, limping, and stiff. Still, he kept showing up for cameos, forcing that classic grin through gritted teeth. Sex tape scandal erupts. In 2012, Hulk Hogan wasn't body-slamming anyone. He was getting slammed by headlines. A secret sex tape had leaked, and it wasn't just embarrassing, it was explosive. The footage showed Hogan in bed with Heather Clem, who, awkwardly enough, was married to his longtime friend Bubba the Love Sponge. And to make it worse, Bubba had allegedly set up the hidden camera. Hogan had no idea he was being recorded. The tape was filmed back in 2007, but surfaced years later when Gawker Media published a clip on their website. The internet exploded. News outlets picked it up. Social media lit up. Hogan felt humiliated and betrayed. The most jarring part? The betrayal came from inside his inner circle. Bubba had been one of Hogan's loudest defenders during his rough patches, but when the tape leaked, Bubba distanced himself fast. He claimed Hogan knew about the recording, a claim Hogan denied under oath. The fallout was fast and brutal. Hogan filed a lawsuit against Gawker, saying they violated his privacy and crossed every ethical line. But during the early legal hearings, even more damaging information was about to come out. Court documents revealed that the tape also included racially offensive comments, which wouldn't surface publicly until 2015. But the legal team already knew what was coming. Still, in 2012, the scandal was about the tape itself. Hogan's image, already dented by age and injury, was now dragged through a sleazy media circus. Talk shows joked about it. Memes exploded. Wrestling fans didn't know what to think. Was this the same childhood hero they'd cheered for in the 80s? During his deposition, Hogan looked shaken. Not angry, just gutted. "It was the lowest point of my life," he admitted. And for a man who had already battled fame, divorce, and addiction, that said a lot. Racist rant leaks publicly. If the sex tape hurt Hulk Hogan's image, what came next nearly erased it. In July 2015, a hidden part of that same tape leaked, and this time it wasn't about sex, it was about what he said. The transcript revealed Hogan using the N-word multiple times while ranting about his daughter Brooke's dating life. He made racist remarks about her then-boyfriend, adding that he'd rather she date a rich white guy. The quotes were graphic, offensive, and undeniable. Even Hogan didn't try to deny them. His team confirmed the words were real. The backlash hit fast and hard. WWE immediately fired Hogan and scrubbed him from their Hall of Fame listings. His merchandise disappeared from the official store. His name vanished from the website. It was like he'd been erased overnight. Hogan released an apology saying, "I'm not a racist. I'm sorry to anyone I offended." But the damage was done. The audio may not have been public yet, but the transcripts were enough. Fans took to social media, shocked and angry. News outlets ran headlines like "Hulk Hogan's career in free fall" and "From hero to villain." Hogan later claimed the rant came during a dark period in his life. He was going through a bitter divorce, battling severe emotional distress, and felt completely cornered. But for most people, that didn't excuse it. In a strange twist, the leaked audio came from the same tape Gawker had published earlier and was tied to the lawsuit already in motion. It raised new questions. Who leaked it now? Why? Was someone trying to bury Hogan for good? Gawker lawsuit victory. After years of humiliation and media chaos, Hulk Hogan fought back and won big. In 2016, his lawsuit against Gawker Media went to trial, and what started as a privacy case turned into one of the most dramatic courtroom battles in internet history. At the center of it all was Hogan's claim that Gawker violated his privacy by publishing a portion of his secretly recorded sex tape without consent. Gawker argued it was newsworthy. Hogan argued it was a violation of his dignity, not to mention devastating for his family and career. The trial took place in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hogan, dressed in all black with a matching bandana, took the stand and got personal. He cried as he described the betrayal, the embarrassment, and the impact on his life. Clips of his testimony aired nationwide, turning the courtroom into must-watch television. But behind the scenes, there was a twist. Hogan's legal war was being quietly bankrolled by tech billionaire Peter Thiel. Thiel had a personal grudge against Gawker. They had outed him as gay in 2007, and he was determined to bring them down. His financial backing helped turn Hogan's lawsuit from a long shot into a serious threat. In March 2016, the jury ruled in Hogan's favor. The verdict? A jaw-dropping $140.1 million against Gawker Media, including $60 million for emotional distress and $25.1 million in punitive damages. Gawker was stunned. So was the media world. Free speech advocates called it dangerous. Others saw it as justice for a man who'd been humiliated without his consent. Gawker couldn't recover. They filed for bankruptcy and sold off assets to pay Hogan. The once powerful media company was gone. For Hogan, it was a rare win in a long stretch of losses. Public opinion was still shaky, but he had taken on a media giant and crushed it. He didn't just win money, he sent a message. Still, the victory had its own complications. Critics asked if it was really about justice or if powerful people were now using lawsuits to silence the press. Either way, Hogan walked out of court with a grin and a check. And for the first time in years, he felt like the one dropping the leg, this time on a website. Family fractures deepen. By the late 2010 second, Hulk Hogan's battles weren't just in the courtroom, they were at home. His once tight-knit family had quietly fallen apart, and the wounds were deeper than any wrestling cut. It started with his divorce from Linda Hogan in 2009, after more than 2 decades of marriage. Their breakup was messy. Linda accused him of infidelity, verbal abuse, and controlling behavior. In interviews, she didn't hold back. Hogan denied it, but the press had a field day. The divorce played out in headlines, tabloids, and depositions. Then came Brooke Hogan. Once her dad's biggest defender, Brooke began pulling away. In 2018, she gave an interview where she confirmed they hadn't spoken in months. She described him as emotionally volatile and said she needed distance. That shocked fans who remembered them performing together or co-starring on Hogan Knows Best back in the mid-2000s. That reality show, once a peek into their picture-perfect life, looked different in hindsight. Rewatching it, you could see the cracks. Awkward fights, cold silences, forced smiles. It wasn't entertainment anymore, it was evidence. Meanwhile, Hogan had remarried. In 2010, he wed Jennifer McDaniel, a woman nearly 2 decades younger. At first, the relationship seemed stable. They stayed mostly out of the spotlight, but in 2022, news quietly broke. They had divorced. By then, Hogan was living mostly alone in Clearwater, Florida. No Linda, no Jennifer, no Brooke. Even his son Nick, once by his side through everything, kept a lower profile. The tight family brand Hogan had built in the 2002 had faded. Wrestlers are used to losing teammates, but family? That's a different kind of pain. He had millions of fans, thousands of followers, but fewer and fewer personal connections. For someone who built his image on loyalty, saying your prayers, honoring your family, this was the part that stung the most. Not the scandals, not the surgeries, the silence. By 2018, the roar of the crowd was gone, and in its place, just the echo of a broken household. WWE return sparks debate. In 2018, 3 years after WWE erased him from their Hall of Fame, Hulk Hogan made his return, but it didn't go the way he hoped. The company reinstated him quietly at first, slipping his name back into the Hall of Fame listings online. Then came the public moment. Hogan appeared backstage at WWE's Extreme Rules event in July 2018 to deliver an apology to the locker room. Cameras weren't rolling, but word spread quickly. Some wrestlers accepted it, others didn't. The backlash came fast. WWE framed his return as a second chance, but wrestlers like Titus O'Neil and members of the New Day didn't buy it. In a public statement, the New Day wrote they were indifferent to Hogan's return and felt his apology didn't come from a place of understanding. O'Neil also shared that Hogan's locker room speech felt more about getting caught than genuine remorse. Fan reaction on social media was split. Some welcomed Hogan back, eager to see their childhood icon again. Others were furious, accusing WWE of brushing aside racism for ratings. On Twitter, fans posted against his return, with negative trends spiking. WWE tried to soften the blow by limiting his screen time. Hogan didn't wrestle. He made brief appearances, mostly nostalgia pops or event hosting duties. But every time he showed up, the debate reignited. In one appearance at Crown Jewel, some fans cheered. Others booed. Comment sections lit up with arguments. It was clear, Hogan was no longer a hero everyone agreed on. He had become a symbol of a larger issue, who gets forgiven and how fast. For Hogan, it wasn't the return he imagined. He had spent decades being the main event. Now, he was a shadow, still visible, still loud, but never fully welcomed. Behind the camera, some wrestlers avoided him. Others tolerated him. Few embraced him. Exaggerated stories exposed. By 2020, Hulk Hogan had more than just injuries and scandals trailing behind him. He had a growing list of questionable claims. Fans started noticing a pattern. Hogan loved to tell wild stories, but the facts didn't always back him up. One of the most famous, Hogan claimed he was originally offered the George Foreman grill endorsement but turned it down. "I missed the call," he said in interviews. George picked up and made millions. It made headlines. Problem is, Foreman told a different story, one that didn't include Hogan at all. Then came the Metallica myth. Hogan once said he was almost the bassist for the band in the early 80s. He claimed he sent tapes to Lars Ulrich. Metallica's response? Nope, never happened. James Hetfield laughed it off in interviews, calling it news to me. Another stretch, Hogan told press he was offered the lead role in The Wrestler, the Oscar-nominated 2008 film that eventually went to Mickey Rourke. But director Darren Aronofsky publicly denied it. "That's completely made up," he said. The internet didn't let it slide. Fans started compiling a list of Hoganism's tall tales that didn't hold up. These included fighting 400-pound opponents who never existed, wrestling 400 days in a year, and having dinner with people who weren't alive at the time. Wrestling peers noticed too. Bret Hart, never shy about calling out Hogan, accused him of rewriting history. "He's the king of his own fiction," Hart once said. It was more than just harmless exaggeration. In an era where everything can be fact-checked in seconds, the stories chipped away at his credibility. Fans didn't know what to believe anymore. Political appearance stirs controversy. In July 2024, Hulk Hogan stepped into a different kind of ring, the political arena. He appeared at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and gave a surprise speech in support of Donald Trump just weeks after the former president survived an assassination attempt. Wearing a suit instead of a bandana, Hogan took the podium to thunderous cheers from the crowd. He praised Trump's toughness, called him a real American, and even worked in one of his old catchphrases, "Let Trumpomania run wild, brother." The moment was tailor-made for headlines and backlash.
Let Trumpomania run wild, brother! Let Trumpomania rule again! Let Trumpomania make America great again!
Online, reactions exploded. Some praised Hogan for standing firm in his beliefs. Others weren't so forgiving. Fans who had stuck with him through scandals now called the move tone-deaf and divisive. X was flooded with posts, some calling him brave, others telling him to stay retired for good. This wasn't Hogan's first brush with political controversy. He'd previously expressed support for Trump in interviews, but never on a national stage like this. The timing didn't help. With the country still reeling from the shooting attempt, emotions were high, and Hogan's theatrics rubbed some viewers the wrong way. The real fallout came months later. In January 2025, Hogan made a surprise appearance at WWE's Netflix-debuted Monday Night Raw. The crowd reaction? Mixed at best. Boos echoed through the arena, and some fans even held up signs referencing his RNC speech. WWE didn't comment officially, but insiders hinted that Hogan's appearance had caused unnecessary tension behind the scenes. Some wrestlers reportedly refused to take photos with him backstage. Others kept their distance entirely. Heart issues surface. By spring 2025, Hulk Hogan's body had taken more than it could handle. Years of surgeries, painkillers, and physical punishment had finally caught up to him, and this time, it wasn't just his back or knees. It was his heart. In May, whispers started spreading online. A close associate leaked that Hogan had suffered a serious heart-related episode. Though his team kept things vague, fans noticed the signs. At a fan expo in Orlando, Hogan looked visibly thinner and pale. His signature strut was gone. He moved slowly, carefully, gripping railings with both hands. Then came the surgery. Reports confirmed Hogan underwent an emergency spinal revision. But tucked inside those updates were mentions of complications and pre-existing heart conditions. No one close to him gave direct answers. But the mood around Hogan shifted from nostalgic to concerned. X lit up with side-by-side photos of Hogan in his prime versus 2025. "That's not the Hulk I remember," one fan posted. Another said, "He looks like he's in constant pain." Some wondered if he was fighting something more serious, maybe even hiding it. Medical sources speculated, cautiously, that long-term steroid use, mixed with decades of stress and surgeries, had taken a toll on his cardiovascular system. While Hogan had always joked about being indestructible, those jokes didn't land the same anymore. For a man who once survived a 320-day wrestling tour in Japan, walking across a stage now looked like a marathon. Interviews were rare, public appearances were limited. When he did show up, he often wore sunglasses indoors and leaned on someone nearby. Even without a formal statement, it was clear Hogan was in decline, not just physically but visibly, and fans, even the ones who turned on him, started to worry. The same heart that had powered decades of larger-than-life entrances was now slowing down. The cheers were quieter, the lights dimmer, and the man once known for his unstoppable energy looked finally exhausted. Fatal cardiac arrest. On the morning of the 24th of July, 2025, Hulk Hogan's fight finally ended. Around 9:51 a.m., a 911 call was placed from his Clearwater, Florida home. Paramedics arrived within minutes to find Hogan unresponsive. He had gone into full cardiac arrest. CPR was performed on-site for over 30 minutes. Neighbors reported seeing multiple emergency vehicles outside the gated property. At 11:17 a.m., he was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital. He was 71. Initial reports confirmed it was a fatal cardiac event. His long-standing heart issues had finally overwhelmed him. A family spokesperson said Hogan passed peacefully and surrounded by loved ones. His children, including Brooke and Nick, were said to have been at the hospital when the call came in. The wrestling world reacted instantly. WWE released an official statement on X. WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away. One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. Tributes poured in from every corner of the industry. Triple H posted, WWE would not be where it is today without the larger-than-life characters that compete in the ring, and few, if any, loomed larger than Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea. Some fans remembered him as the face of their childhood, the man who made wrestling mainstream, the one who told them to believe in themselves. Others brought up the scandals, the comments, the controversies. Both views lit up timelines within hours of his death. Outside his home, fans left yellow roses, bandanas, and action figures on the sidewalk. One note read, "Thanks for the memories, brother." Another just said, "Still complicated, still missed." In a way, Hogan's final chapter summed up his entire life. Loud, messy, emotional, and unforgettable. He didn't pass away quietly. He went out as headlines broke, reactions poured in, and legacy debates began in real time. His body may have given out, but his story kept going. For decades, Hulk Hogan called himself the Immortal. He shouted it into microphones, printed it on shirts, and lived it in arenas. But on that July morning, mortality came for him like it comes for everyone. And this time, there was no kick-out, no comeback, just silence.
In the ever-shifting landscape of television, characters come and go, leaving fans clinging to memories of beloved figures who once graced their screens. But what happens when the face of your favorite character changes overnight? Imagine tuning in to your weekly dose of escapism, only to find that the hero you've rooted for, the villain you love to hate, has been replaced by a stranger wearing a familiar guise. This isn't just a recast, it's a seismic shift in the narrative world we thought we knew. In the intricate dance of storytelling, actors are the faces of tales that capture our hearts. But sometimes those faces change, and the reasons why can be as compelling as the plot twists we see on screen. Join us as we draw the curtain to reveal the actors who were replaced mid-series and the intriguing stories behind their departures. The landscape of television has been shaped by countless narratives, each woven with characters that capture the hearts and minds of audiences. Yet the departure of an actor from a beloved series is a narrative twist that no viewer can prepare for. These exits are not merely casting changes, they are pivotal moments that can redefine a show's direction and legacy. Throughout television history, there have been numerous high-profile actor replacements that have stirred the pot of public opinion and industry debate. From the early days of television to the streaming era, unforeseen departures have been a constant. In the 1970s, the sudden exit of McLean Stevenson from the classic series MASH, due to a desire for a change in his career path, left fans stunned and the show's writers scrambling for a fitting farewell. The character's unexpected death in the series was a television moment etched in the memories of viewers, a poignant reminder of the unpredictability of life both on and off the screen. Fast forward to the 1980s and we witness the controversial departure of David Caruso from NYPD Blue after just one season. His decision to pursue a film career was met with mixed reactions, and the show had to quickly pivot to introduce a new lead, which it successfully did with the arrival of Jimmy Smits. The 1990s brought its own drama with the exit of Shannon Doherty from Beverly Hills 90210, and later Charmed, both times amidst rumors of on-set disputes and creative differences. These departures not only changed the dynamics of the respective shows, but also sparked conversations about the impact of off-screen behavior on an actor's television career. In more recent times, the abrupt departure of Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy shocked audiences. His character's tragic end was a creative decision that left fans grieving and marked the end of an era for the long-running medical drama. Each of these departures, whether driven by personal choice, creative differences, or external circumstances, underscores the fragile nature of television production. Actors may be the faces of the characters, but their exits reveal the myriad forces at play behind the scenes. Showrunners must navigate these choppy waters, balancing the integrity of the narrative with the realities of the industry. In this video, we will explore the stories behind some of the most talked about exits in television history. We will look at how these departures were handled, the reactions they elicited, and the lasting impact they had on the shows and the television landscape at large. Join us on this journey through the annals of TV history, where the only constant is change, and the departure of a beloved actor is but a single plot twist in the ongoing saga of television storytelling. The unforeseen departures. In the vast industry of television, the unexpected exit of a key actor is akin to a sudden change in the pattern, a shift that can alter the fabric of the story in unforeseen ways. These departures, often shrouded in mystery or the result of abrupt decisions, have led to some of the most memorable and defining moments in TV history. One of the earliest and most iconic examples is the departure of Diane Chambers, played by Shelley Long, from the classic sitcom Cheers. Long left the show at the height of its popularity to pursue a film career, a move that left fans and critics alike wondering if the show could survive without one half of its central will, they won't they couple. The introduction of Kirstie Alley as Rebecca Howe marked a new chapter for the show, which continued to thrive, proving that a series could reinvent itself post-departure. In the realm of science fiction, the sudden departure of Denise Crosby from Star Trek The Next Generation during its first season surprised viewers. Her character, Tasha Yar, was killed off in a shocking twist that was as much a narrative decision as it was a response to Crosby's desire for a more expansive career. The show would go on to address her absence in future storylines, weaving her departure into the lore of the Star Trek universe. The 2000s saw the unexpected exit of Christopher Maloney as Detective Elliot Stabler from Law and Order Special Victims Unit. After 12 seasons, contract negotiations fell through, and Maloney's sudden departure left a gap that the show took time to fill. His absence was felt both by the characters and the audience, as the show had to recalibrate its dynamic without one of its original leads. More recently, the departure of Ruby Rose from Batwoman after just one season left fans and industry insiders puzzled. Citing personal reasons, Rose's exit required a swift recasting and a narrative shift that introduced a new character to don the Batwoman mantle, a bold move for a series still in its infancy. These departures, whether due to personal decisions, behind-the-scenes tensions, or the unpredictable nature of the industry, have one thing in common: they force a show to evolve. Writers must craft new storylines, producers must reassess the show's direction, and the remaining cast must adjust to a new on-screen chemistry. The departure of a key actor is not just a loss, but an opportunity for reinvention. Creative differences and disputes. The phrase creative differences is often cited as the diplomatic euphemism masking the turbulent undercurrents that lead to an actor's departure from a television series. These differences can stem from a variety of sources: disagreements with the direction of a character, conflicts with writers or producers, or a broader divergence in the vision for the show. A classic case is the departure of Suzanne Summers from Three's Company. Portraying the bubbly Chrissy Snow, Summers became a breakout star. However, in 1980, during contract renegotiations, Summers requested a pay raise commensurate with her perceived value, which led to a standoff with the producers. The dispute resulted in her receiving less screen time before her character was written off the show entirely. This incident not only impacted the dynamic of the series, but also became a cautionary tale about the balance of power in Hollywood. In a more recent example, the exit of Kevin Spacey from House of Cards was precipitated by allegations of misconduct, but it also brought to light underlying tensions regarding Spacey's influence on the show's direction. His departure necessitated a drastic reworking of the final season, with Robin Wright's character Claire Underwood taking center stage. The shift was abrupt, but it allowed the series to conclude on its own terms, albeit under a shadow of controversy. Another memorable departure was that of Dan Harmon, the creator of Community. His exit after the third season was not as an actor but as a showrunner, which is equally impactful. The clash between Harmon's creative vision and the network's desire for broader appeal led to his firing. The subsequent season, produced without him, was met with mixed reactions, demonstrating how vital a singular creative vision can be to a show's identity. Creative disputes are not always so acrimonious. For instance, the departure of Steve Carell from The Office was a mutual decision that respected Carell's desire to pursue other projects while also honoring the character's natural progression. The show continued for several seasons, exploring new dynamics and character developments in Carell's absence. These instances highlight the delicate ecosystem of a television series, where the departure of a single individual can have a ripple effect. The creative process is inherently collaborative, and when disputes arise, they can either be a source of innovation or a harbinger of decline. Next, we'll examine how contractual and scheduling conflicts have also played pivotal roles in shaping the trajectories of beloved series. But before that, if you enjoy the video, please subscribe to our channel. Helps us stay motivated and will keep you up to date with new releases. Contractual and scheduling conflicts. The world of television is bound by contracts as much as it is by creativity. When actors sign on to a series, they are often committing to multiple years of their career. However, as their star rises or personal circumstances change, these contracts can become a double-edged sword, leading to scheduling conflicts and sometimes contentious exits. A prime example of this is the departure of Rob Lowe from The West Wing. Lowe, who played Sam Seaborn, was considered by many to be the lead when the show began. However, as the ensemble cast received more focus, Lowe's screen time diminished. Coupled with disputes over salary and the desire for a more prominent role, Lowe chose to exit the series, leaving fans to wonder what might have been had he stayed. On the flip side, there's the case of George Clooney in ER. Clooney had a leaving clause in his contract that allowed him to exit if his film career took off, which it did. His departure was amicable and well handled within the narrative of the show, setting a precedent for how to manage the loss of a major star gracefully. Scheduling conflicts can also arise when an actor is involved in multiple projects. For instance, scheduling issues were part of the reason why David Duchovny reduced his role in The X-Files after the 7th season. His desire to pursue a film career and focus on other projects led to a reduced presence on the show, which had a significant impact on the series' direction and fan reception. The case of Katherine Heigl's exit from Grey's Anatomy is another illustration of how contractual obligations can clash with personal aspirations. Heigl's burgeoning film career and public dissatisfaction with her character's storyline led to a mutual decision for her to leave the show. However, the negotiations were far from smooth, with public statements from both Heigl and show creator Shonda Rhimes reflecting the tension behind the scenes. These departures underscore the complex interplay between an actor's contractual obligations and their career trajectory. While contracts are designed to protect both the actor and the production, they can also become a source of conflict, particularly when the interests of the actor and the show begin to diverge. Controversial exits. As you'd expect, not all exits are planned, and some are mired in controversy that can leave a lasting impact on the show's legacy. These departures often become as talked about as the series itself, overshadowing plot lines and sometimes even leading to a show's decline. One of the most contentious exits in TV history was that of Shannon Doherty from Beverly Hills 90210. Doherty, who played Brenda Walsh, was a central figure in the teen drama. Rumors of on-set feuds and bad behavior clouded her departure at the end of the 4th season. The controversy didn't end with 90210. Doherty's exit from Charmed after 3 seasons was similarly fraught, with speculation about conflicts with co-stars and producers. Another departure that sent shockwaves through the industry was Charlie Sheen's firing from 2.5 Men. Sheen's public meltdown and feud with series creator Chuck Lorre were tabloid fodder for months. His character's abrupt and irreverent write-off from the show was a clear message that no actor is bigger than the show itself. In more recent years, Kevin Spacey's exit from House of Cards following allegations of sexual misconduct was both controversial and unprecedented. The show had to rework its final season to write out Spacey's character, Frank Underwood, a move that significantly altered the show's trajectory and received mixed reactions from fans and critics alike. The departure of Roseanne Barr from her eponymous show, Roseanne, due to a racially charged tweet led to the show's cancellation and subsequent rebranding as The Conners. This situation highlighted how an actor's off-screen behavior could have immediate and drastic consequences for their on-screen roles. The role outgrows the actor. Sometimes the narrative arc of a series demands that a character evolve in ways that the original actor can no longer portray, leading to a recasting that can be jarring for audiences but necessary for the story. This phenomenon is not new, but it is always a point of interest and sometimes contention among fans. A classic example is the role of Daario Naharis in the epic series Game of Thrones. Initially played by Ed Skrein in the third season, the role was taken over by Mikael Huisman in the fourth season. The official reason given was a conflict of schedules, but rumors of creative differences quietly circulated. The change was abrupt, and the character's new portrayal was noticeably different, leading to much fan speculation. In The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the character of Aunt Vivian was famously played by Janet Hubert for the first 3 seasons before being replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid. The change was attributed to behind-the-scenes difficulties, but it also reflected a shift in the character's demeanor and role within the show, which some argue could have necessitated a different approach to the character. Another notable recasting was the transition from Sarah Chalke to Lisi Göransson and back again for the role of Becky in Roseanne. Göransson left the show to attend college and Chalke took over. Göransson would later return, leading to a unique situation where both actors alternated in the role, depending on their availability. In the Avengers TV series from the 1960s, the role of Kathy Gale was originally played by Honor Blackman. When Blackman left to play Pussy Galore in Goldfinger, the role was not recast. Instead, a new character, Emma Peel, played by Diana Rigg, was introduced. This allowed the show to refresh its dynamic and keep pace with its evolving narrative needs. These changes underscore the delicate balance between an actor's portrayal and the character's trajectory within a story. When the role outgrows the actor, either due to narrative demands or external factors, the show must navigate the transition carefully to maintain continuity and audience engagement. Tragic circumstances. The impact of a sudden loss of an actor due to tragic circumstances presents a profound challenge for a television series. These events are deeply felt, not just within the fabric of the show, but also among the cast, crew, and viewers who have formed attachments to the characters and the actors behind them. One of the most heart-rending examples is the death of John Ritter, who passed away unexpectedly in 2003 from an aortic dissection. Ritter was at the height of his role in the sitcom 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. The show chose to address his death directly, writing it into the series, which allowed the characters and the audience to grieve together. In the case of Glee, the untimely death of Corey Monteith, who played Finn Hudson, left the cast and fans in shock. The show paid tribute to Monteith in an episode that dealt with the loss of his character, reflecting the real-life grief of the actors and viewers. The episode was a poignant farewell to both the actor and his beloved character. The sudden passing of Phil Hartman, known for his role as Bill McNeil on News Radio, was another tragic event that the show had to address. Hartman was a victim of murder-suicide by his wife. The following season began with an episode that dealt with his character's death, allowing the show to honor Hartman's contribution and provide closure to fans. Saturday Night Live veteran and film star Chris Farley's death in 1997 was a loss felt across the comedy community. While not part of a series at the time of his passing, his absence was noted in the comedy world, with tributes pouring in from all corners, including from his SNL family. These tragic departures serve as stark reminders of the fragility of life and the unforeseen impact such losses can have on a television series. They require a sensitive and thoughtful approach to storytelling, as the line between reality and fiction becomes blurred by real-world sorrow. Fan reactions and ratings. Impact. The departure of a beloved actor from a television series can send ripples through its fan base, often resulting in a vocal and emotional response. Fans invest time and emotion into the characters and storylines, and when an actor exits, it can feel like losing a friend or family member. This chapter delves into the dynamics of fan reactions and the subsequent impact on show ratings. When Shannon Doherty left Charmed, her departure sparked a significant reaction among the show's dedicated fan base. Doherty's character, Prue Halliwell, was a central figure, and her sudden exit at the end of the third season left fans reeling. The introduction of Rose McGowan as a long-lost sister helped to fill the void, but the show's dynamic had irrevocably changed, leading to mixed reactions and a shift in viewership. Similarly, The X-Files faced a fan uproar when David Duchovny, who played Fox Mulder, reduced his role after the 7th season. The chemistry between Mulder and Scully, portrayed by Gillian Anderson, was a cornerstone of the series, and Duchovny's reduced presence was felt both in the narrative and the show's ratings. In contrast, 2.5 Men experienced a different kind of shakeup with the departure of Charlie Sheen and the introduction of Ashton Kutcher. Sheen's tumultuous exit was highly publicized, and his character's absence was explained through his off-screen death. The show continued with Kutcher stepping in, leading to a different comedic dynamic that was initially met with curiosity by viewers, resulting in a ratings boost, though the long-term impact showed a gradual decline. The effect of actor replacements on ratings is not always negative. NYPD Blue saw the departure of David Caruso after its first season, but the show managed to maintain and even grow its audience with the introduction of Jimmy Smits. The seamless transition was a testament to the show's strong ensemble cast and writing. Fan reactions can also lead to campaigns aimed at bringing actors back or saving a show from cancellation. The power of fan movements was evident with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which was picked up by another network after cancellation due to overwhelming fan support. Behind-the-scenes insights. The departure of an actor from a television series is often shrouded in mystery, with fans left to speculate about the reasons behind the decision. However, behind-the-scenes insights can provide clarity and context to these departures, revealing the complexities of television production and the intricacies of actor contracts. One of the most famous behind-the-scenes stories involves the departure of Suzanne Somers from Three's Company. After becoming a breakout star, Somers sought a significant salary increase, leading to contract disputes. Negotiations turned sour, and Somers was eventually phased out of the show, appearing only briefly in some episodes before her character was written off. The tension on set during this period was palpable, and the show's dynamic changed with the introduction of a new character, Terry Alden, played by Priscilla Barnes. Another notable example is the replacement of Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Vivian on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hubert's exit after the third season was attributed to creative differences and conflicts with star Will Smith. Daphne Maxwell. Reed took over the role, and while the show continued to be successful, fans noticed the change in portrayal and the character's diminished role. The behind-the-scenes decision-making process can also be influenced by external factors, such as the actor's personal life. For instance, when Robert Downey Jr. was on Ally McBeal, his recurring legal issues led to his character being written out of the show. Despite his critically acclaimed performance, the risk associated with his personal challenges outweighed the benefits for the show's producers. In some cases, the departure of an actor can lead to creative renewal. Cheers saw the exit of Shelley Long, who played Diane Chambers at the end of the 5th season. The showrunners took this opportunity to introduce a new love interest for Ted Danson's character, Sam Malone, with Kirstie Alley's character, Rebecca Howe, bringing a fresh dynamic that contributed to the show's continued success. These behind-the-scenes stories highlight the delicate balance between the artistic and business aspects of television production. Actors may be replaced for a variety of reasons, but each change has a ripple effect on the show's future, the remaining cast, and the audience. Most people believe that being a part of Hollywood is a dream come true. From the flamboyant lives of celebrities to the glitz and glam that is often displayed during red carpet events, people are willing to do anything to experience this kind of life. However, not many people know that Hollywood is not what it appears to be. In fact, beyond the illusion of perfection are dark secrets that have been buried and swept under the rug for decades. Over the years, several rumors have been circulated about the dark side of Hollywood. If you ever wondered if the rumors are true, you're about to find out, because this video will uncover the dark and ugly side of Hollywood. Brace yourself. They make things disappear. Have you come across those twisted and ruthless individuals that work with criminal bodies in action movies? You know, the ones they call to make things disappear. Well, what if I told you that these people are not just fictional characters? What if I told you that Hollywood has real-life fixers and they will stop at nothing to make scandals disappear? In November 2002, certain information came to light as it was revealed that an alleged Hollywood fixer, Anthony Pellicano, was caught and brought to justice. He was said to have been involved in the intimidation and threats that a certain journalist, Anita M. Bush, was facing. Apparently, she was one of the journalists who was bold enough to write investigative stories about the film industry and Hollywood super agent Michael Ovitz. At the time, she was also working on an alleged story about mob money being used to finance a film that Steven Seagal starred in. She must have been on the verge of uncovering a dark secret because when she began to dig up information, she started receiving life threats. She was warned to stop digging for information, and it was clear that whoever was sending these threats was trying to protect a powerful person or powerful people in the industry. After a series of investigations were carried out, it was revealed that Anthony Pellicano was allegedly behind the threats she was receiving. Now, as shocking as this news was, this wasn't the first time that Hollywood was rumored to be operating with a set of individuals called fixers. During the silent era and golden age, it was rumored that the likes of Eddie Mannix and Howard Strickling were the fixers that were called whenever a star had a problem that needed to be fixed. When female stars like Lana Turner, Garland, and other MGM stars got pregnant out of wedlock, a fixer was assigned to make the pregnancy go away in order to protect the image of the star. Some male stars who were attracted to men were forced by the fixers to marry women so that the public would be deceived. Any star who refused to comply with a fixer's methods faced consequences that they couldn't recover from. It's been decades since the likes of Strickling rendered their services in Hollywood, and one would think that fixers no longer exist. Well, let's just say they are more secretive. Pellicano, who landed behind bars for his work as a fixer, is said to have helped the likes John McTiernan, Chris Rock, and Courtney Love. A documentary titled Sin Eater: The Crimes of Anthony Pellicano has been released, and it's a complete expose about this fixer's clandestine activities, the dark underbelly of Hollywood, and the lengths powerful people go to protect their image. The curse of a child star. Over the years, Hollywood has managed to discover and groom some of the most talented child stars on the surface of the earth. Many of these child stars have graced screens over the years and proven to viewers that children are also capable of portraying characters excellently, but behind the smiles and starry eyes that these young stars bring to screens is a dark secret that has been kept buried for decades. From the days of Shirley Temple, there have been rumors about the dark things that child stars face behind the scenes. Although most of these allegations have swept under the rug, Shirley Temple's autobiography brought a lot of secrets out and confirmed what viewers were suspecting all along. Anyone who was a fan of Shirley Temple when she was a film star must have felt a strange feeling while watching her on screens. Although she was of preschool age, she was made to act weird roles with grown men, and some of the roles clearly sexualized her. However, the world was stuck with mere suspicions until she decided to unveil what happened in her autobiography. She didn't mince words, as she made it clear that she and her fellow child stars were being treated badly. In her words, if any of the preschool-age children misbehaved on set, they were locked in a windowless booth called the punishment box and be forced to sit on a solid block of ice for extended periods of time. She went on to reveal that she was often touched inappropriately and was terrorized by men behind the scenes. One can only imagine how terrified she must have been felt as she was going through all these at such a young age. But through it all, she had to still show up on screens, sing, dance, and be the bright-eyed actress that everyone loved and adored. In more recent years, several celebrities have found the courage to expose this dark side of the industry, revealing that they too went through a similar experience. It will surprise you to know that the beloved Macaulay Culkin, who made us laugh, cry, and scream through his role in Home Alone, was also abused. He revealed that when he was younger and still finding his footing in Hollywood, he was touched inappropriately by several celebrities. Sadly, just like every young actor who has gone through a similar experience, he didn't know how to get out of the situation, and what made it even worse was the fact that his own father treated him badly all through his career. But Culkin's and Temple's stories are just a few out of the many stories that show this dark side of the industry. In 2014, a Nickelodeon production assistant, Jason Michael Handy, was arrested for child abuse. This is proof that this is yet another dark truth that Hollywood has decided to keep hidden. Strategic collaborations with the paparazzi. Have you ever come across a video of a popular celebrity yelling at the paparazzi and warning them not to take pictures of them? Well, that's just one side of the coin. It is true that the paparazzi can be a relentless bunch of photographers who fight to get pictures of celebrities in different phases of their lives. However, these days, the paparazzi often work hand in hand with celebrities to showcase a certain reality to the media. In the words of a famous Manchester-based paparazzo, Aaron Parfit, "I think a lot of people are quite dumb about how it works. People think we are scumbags hanging out of trees, but these celebrities are ringing us. I've been on holiday with celebrities. Most of them are reality stars. We go to Spain, shoot 6 bikini sets, and stick them out throughout the month." Interestingly, this has remained a secret between celebrities. Interestingly, this practice didn't start recently. Old Hollywood stars were said to have posed for romantic pictures with co-stars, especially for upcoming romance movies. When these pictures were released, fans would get excited about their favorite stars being in a relationship, not knowing that these stars were faking it in order to get views for their upcoming movies. The price of perfection. In an industry where a person's perceived image is the bedrock of their fame, it is no surprise that celebrities go above and beyond to look perfect. But no one knows the lengths that they go in order to lose weight and look perfect for interviews and red carpet events, and the illness that follows this desperation for perfection. Over the years, female celebrities have done it all, from getting plastic surgeries done to subjecting themselves to strict diets, all in a bid to have the perfect figure. While the likes of Marilyn Monroe may have seemed perfect on the outside, not many people know that she struggled with an eating disorder for the most part of her life. One can only imagine the pressure she was under to maintain that slim waist and to remain a beauty standard for women all over the world. In more recent years, it has been revealed that eating disorders are becoming even more rampant in the industry. The actress Naomi Watts once revealed that she starved herself for days so that her outfit would look perfect for a red carpet event. Some celebrities have gone into depression as a result of one eating disorder or the other, and it is clear that this is yet another dark truth that is hidden behind the curtains of perfection in Hollywood. So when you see your favorite actresses smiling and posing for pictures at red carpet events, remember that some of them are struggling internally. Age is not just a number. Ageism is alive and well. These words spoken by Jane Fonda have raised concerns about a practice that the industry is guilty of. It appears that in the entertainment industry, particularly in Hollywood, remains a pervasive issue that affects both male and female actors, albeit in slightly different ways. However, the impact of ageism tends to be more pronounced for women, considering the fact that many female actresses start worrying as they approach 40 due to fears of dwindling opportunities for roles. This fear stems from the industry's obsession with youth and the notion that younger actors are more marketable and attractive to audiences. One significant aspect contributing to ageism in Hollywood is the industry's emphasis on physical appearance. Hollywood has long been criticized for its unrealistic beauty standards and its perpetuation of youth as the pinnacle of attractiveness. As a result, actresses, in particular, face immense pressure to maintain a youthful appearance as they age. This pressure often leads to actresses resorting to extreme measures, such as cosmetic surgery or rigorous diet and exercise regimens, to preserve their looks and remain competitive in the industry. But even with all these measures, age still creeps in. Jane Fonda, a veteran actress with decades of experience in Hollywood, has been outspoken about the prevalence of ageism in the industry. She has highlighted how actresses, even those with illustrious careers like herself, face discrimination and limited opportunities as they grow older. Fonda's own experiences are proof of the challenges older actresses encounter in Hollywood, despite their talent and accomplishments. The issue of ageism is further compounded by instances where actresses feel compelled to conceal their true age to avoid being overlooked for roles. Margot Robbie's experience, where rumors about her age prompted backlash, underscores the pressures actresses face to adhere to Hollywood's youth-centric standards. Robbie's decision to potentially misrepresent her age reflects the harsh reality that ageism can detrimentally impact an actress's career prospects. While there are exceptions like Meryl Streep who continue to thrive in Hollywood despite aging, their success does not negate the systemic issue of ageism in the industry. Streep's is because of her exceptional talent and versatility as an actress, rather than evidence that ageism is no longer prevalent. It's safe to say that the industry's fixation on youth and perfection perpetuates unrealistic standards and contributes to the marginalization of older actors. Is organized crime real? Back in the old days of Hollywood, there was a chilling incident that shook the town. A group of people barged into the house of an old Hollywood actor, Roman Polanski, and sadly, lives were lost that day. This was one of the tragic events that made people believe that organized crime was prevalent in the industry. More shocking discoveries have been made over the years, and it's clear that there is a high possibility that organized crime still has a grip on the industry. During the Golden Age, Frank Sinatra was said to be part of a shady group called the Rat Pack. The Rat Pack, led by Frank Sinatra, was the epitome of cool in Hollywood during the 1950s and 1960s. Sinatra himself was rumored to have had ties to the mafia, particularly through his friendship with figures like Sam Giancana. The Rat Pack's performances in Las Vegas were often attended by mobsters, adding fuel to the rumors. This made people believe that Hollywood was somehow intertwined with criminals. Some mysterious deaths have also led people to believe that there are indeed dark things happening in the industry. Throughout Hollywood's history, there have been mysterious deaths that some speculate could be linked to organized crime. Whether it's the unsolved murder of famous director William Desmond Taylor in 1922 or the suspicious circumstances surrounding the deaths of various actors and producers over the years, whispers of foul play have often circulated. You see, Hollywood has always had its share of rumors about connections between big stars and organized crime. There was this famous joint called the Trocadero, where celebs and big shots from movie studios would hang out, mingling with notorious gangsters like Mickey Cohen. Even after the golden age of Hollywood, whispers persisted about shady dealings with mobsters, extending into the 1970s. For instance, there was this movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was distributed by a company called Bryanston Pictures. Turns out this company had some connections to a mafia crime family. These stories might sound like something out of a movie themselves, but they were very real. As for whether any celebrities have spoken out about this, well, it's a bit hush-hush. Some might have hinted at it or mentioned it indirectly, but outright confirmation, that's hard to come by. Hollywood's history is full of strange and wild tales, and the ties between celebrities and organized crime are just one part of it. Animals are treated badly. In Hollywood, while many celebrities have championed animal rights causes, there have been disturbing reports suggesting that not everyone in the industry holds the same regard for animals' welfare. Unfortunately, there have been instances of animals being mistreated on the sets of movies, raising serious concerns about animal welfare in the entertainment industry. One notable animal abuse controversy occurred in 2017 during the production of A Dog's Purpose. A video surfaced showing a dog appearing to be forced into turbulent water during filming, sparking widespread outrage. However, it was later reported that the video had been edited to misrepresent the situation. Despite this clarification, the incident raised questions about the treatment of animals on film sets. The mistreatment of animals in Hollywood is not a recent phenomenon. Throughout the history of cinema, there have been instances of animal abuse, sometimes in the pursuit of realistic effects. For example, in the 1925 film Ben-Hur and many old-school westerns, horrifying horsefalls were staged, endangering the animals involved. These controversies shed light on a dark aspect of the entertainment industry, where animals have sometimes been subjected to mistreatment for the sake of cinematic effects. While efforts have been made to improve animal welfare standards on film sets, these incidents prove that there is still work to be done when it comes to ensuring the safety and well-being of all animals involved in movie productions. Is lack of diversity still prevalent? Recently, a video of the African-American actress Taraji Henson surfaced the internet. In the video, she was crying profusely and talking about the fact that people of color are treated unfairly in the industry. There is no denying that lack of diversity is still a major issue in Hollywood. People of color are usually stereotyped as gangsters, drivers, while other minority groups are chosen to portray maids. It is clear that there is still a lack of diversity in Hollywood. One prominent actor who has spoken out about the lack of diversity in Hollywood is Viola Davis. Davis, who is African American, has been vocal about the limited opportunities for people of color in the industry. In her 2015 Emmy acceptance speech, she famously stated, "The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity. You cannot win an Emmy for roles that are simply not there." Davis has highlighted the fact that roles for minorities often fall into stereotypical categories, limiting the range of characters they can portray and perpetuating harmful stereotypes. The lack of diversity in Hollywood not only limits the opportunities available to minority actors, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes and reinforces systemic inequalities. When minority groups are only offered roles that fit narrow stereotypes, it reinforces the idea that they are only capable of portraying certain types of characters. This not only limits their career prospects, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes that can contribute to discrimination and prejudice in society. Furthermore, when white actors are cast in roles that should be played by people of color, it further marginalizes minority groups and denies them opportunities to tell their own stories. This practice, known as whitewashing, erases the experiences and perspectives of people of color and perpetuates a narrative in which white voices are prioritized over others. It is essential for the industry to continue making efforts to be more inclusive and to provide opportunities for actors from all backgrounds to tell their own stories and represent the diverse world in which we live. The wild and dark parties are real. The notion of dark or notorious parties within Hollywood has indeed been a subject of speculation and controversy for decades. While it's common for celebrities to come together for social events and blow off steam, there have been persistent rumors and occasional revelations about the darker aspects of some of these gatherings. Heidi Fleiss, known as the Hollywood Madam, became infamous in the 1990s for her involvement in running a high-end prostitution ring catering to wealthy and influential clients, including many from the entertainment industry. Her arrest and subsequent revelations shed light on the underbelly of Hollywood's elite social scene, where substance abuse and exploitation were alleged to be prevalent. The notion of powerful figures exploiting their status and indulging in illicit activities is not confined to recent times. Throughout the history of Hollywood, there have been stories and scandals involving sex, drugs, and other forms of misconduct at parties attended by the rich and famous. From the golden age of Hollywood to the present day, tales of debauchery and excess have circulated, sometimes whispered and sometimes exposed in the media. Recent allegations surrounding figures like P. Diddy only add fuel to these long-standing rumors. While it's important to approach such allegations with a critical eye and recognize that not all social gatherings in Hollywood are characterized by misconduct, the persistence of these stories proves that there may indeed be a darker side to the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown. Pep pills and substances on set. To the rest of the world, famous actors and actresses are a set of people who have proven to be talented and brought some of the best Hollywood movies to life. While this narrative is true, some of them have done shocking things on set in order to be able to create mind-blowing movies. It will amaze you to know that some of your favorite actors have been dependent on substances to be able to bring their roles to life. And what is even more shocking about this is the fact that these substances are made available on some movie sets. It has been rumored that some stars have been coerced to take these substances against their will. One of the dark truths that has remained hidden in Hollywood for a while is the illegal substances that are given to actors and actresses to enhance their performance. Some of the movies that became a huge success were created by actors who had to take certain substances before acting. Perhaps this is why a lot of movie stars are addicted to these substances. Back in the day, Judy Garland was said to be one of the many stars who was constantly pumped with all kinds of drugs before her performances and even interviews. Sure, she was able to entertain her fans and make her studio a lot of money, but it came at a price, a lifelong addiction. The talented actor Dennis Quaid is one of the few actors who has opened up about this secret in Hollywood. According to him, cocaine was allegedly listed in the budget of some of the movies he appeared in. However, this purchase was disguised as petty cash so that no one would find out that actors were taking these substances on set. In the labyrinthine world of 1960s Paris, where the Seine whispered tales beneath its bridges and the streets hummed with a melody of the unexpected, there existed a paradox named Brigitte Bardot. To the public eye, she was the embodiment of glamour and sensuality, a cinematic siren whose mere presence on screen could alter the very pulse of a film. Yet, beneath this carefully sculpted facade lay hidden depths and shadows, a reality far more complex than the glossy images on magazine covers. Bardot's journey, often narrated in the language of beauty and allure, was punctuated by moments and decisions that painted a different picture, one obscured by the camera flashes. Her rise to fame was not just a tale of discovery and success. It was a path marked by choices that led her through a maze of experiences, both illuminating and dark. In the cafes and studios of a city that prided itself on art and expression, Bardot moved like a figure from a Nouvelle Vague film, her life unfolding in a series of frames, each capturing a facet of her enigma. But what lay behind those captivating eyes that gazed from the silver screen? What stories were etched in the corners of her smile, often perceived as nothing more than a symbol of seduction? As the world adored and objectified her in equal measure, Bardot navigated the complexities of fame, love, and identity. Her relationships, scrutinized and sensationalized, were more than mere tabloid fodder. They were chapters in a narrative that delved into the heart of a woman caught in the storm of her own celebrity. Yet there was a moment, a turning point that remained shrouded in mystery, a chapter in her story that veered off the expected path. It was a decision that would lead her to retreat from the very world that had made her a star, a choice that raised more questions than it answered. In the heart of post-war France, amidst the cultural renaissance that swept through its streets and alleys, a young Brigitte Bardot stepped into the limelight, her journey to icon status beginning with the subtle yet undeniable force of a sea change. Born in 1934 in Paris, Bardot's early life was set against a backdrop of a nation in recovery, a context that shaped her path in ways both visible and unseen. Bardot's entry into the world of cinema was not a tale of mere chance, but a confluence of circumstance, talent, and an era's yearning for a new kind of star. In her youth, Bardot was trained in classical dance, a discipline that instilled in her a sense of poise and expression that would later become hallmarks of her on-screen presence. The discipline of ballet, the control and grace were the undercurrents that flowed beneath her performances. Her foray into acting came as French cinema was undergoing its own transformation. The rigid structures and conventions of the past were giving way to a new wave of creativity and realism. Bardot's natural allure and unpolished acting style resonated with this shift, making her a fitting muse for the nouvelle vague directors who sought to redefine French cinema. Bardot's breakout role in And God Created Woman, 1956, directed by Roger Vadim, catapulted her to international fame. In this film, her portrayal of Juliette Hardy, a free-spirited, sensual young woman, challenged the traditional notions of femininity and sexuality on screen. It was a performance that captured the spirit of the times, a reflection of a society grappling with the notions of freedom, desire, and individuality. As Bardot's star ascended, so did the public's fascination with her. She became the subject of photographers and artists, her image proliferating across magazines and galleries. Bardot was not just an actress, she was a symbol of a new era, a representation of beauty and liberation that transcended the boundaries of film. Yet, the making of this icon was a journey fraught with complexities. The very qualities that brought Bardot fame also invited scrutiny and objectification. Her personal life became a spectacle, with each relationship and escapade dissected by the media. The line between the actress and the woman began to blur, a convergence that would play a significant role in her life and career. Early career pressures. As Brigitte Bardot's star rose in the cinematic firmament of the 1950s, the pressures and challenges of her early career began to cast long shadows over her personal and professional life. Thrust into the spotlight at a young age, Bardot navigated a path fraught with expectations and demands that were often at odds with her own aspirations and well-being. In the conservative climate of 1950s France, Bardot's on-screen persona, which exuded a bold and unapologetic sensuality, was both revolutionary and contentious. Her roles challenged the traditional norms of female modesty and behavior, making her a subject of admiration and controversy. The public and the press were captivated by her, but this fascination was a double-edged sword, bringing with it a relentless scrutiny into her personal life. The film industry at the time was a male-dominated arena, and Bardot, like many actresses of her era, faced the challenge of asserting her agency and autonomy. Navigating this landscape required a delicate balance of maintaining her professional relationships while also standing up for her rights and choices as an artist. The expectations to conform to certain roles and behaviors were constant, and Bardot often found herself at odds with producers and directors who sought to shape her career according to their visions. Moreover, the rapid ascent to fame brought with it an intense pressure to maintain her image and success. Bardot was constantly under the microscope, her every move, choice, and appearance subject to public opinion and media commentary. This relentless attention, while part of the fabric of stardom, also took a toll on her personal life, leading to moments of doubt and isolation. Despite these challenges, Bardot's early career was marked by a series of performances that showcased not only her beauty but also her depth and versatility as an actress. She worked with some of the most renowned directors of the time who were drawn to her unique presence and ability to bring complex characters to life. However, the path to these successes was not without its struggles. The price of beauty. By the early 1960s, Brigitte Bardot had become an international symbol of beauty and allure. However, the cost of maintaining this image was steep, both physically and emotionally, and it played out against the backdrop of a rapidly changing film industry and societal expectations. In 1963, during the filming of Le Mépris, Contempt, directed by Jean-Luc Godard, Bardot faced significant challenges. The production set on the stunning Capri Island was fraught with tension. Godard, a director known for his demanding nature, required Bardot to embody a character that was both emotionally complex and physically exposed. The role demanded a vulnerability that Bardot had to portray amidst a challenging shooting environment, often under the scrutinizing gaze of the crew and the ever-present paparazzi. The pressure to maintain her physical appearance was relentless. Bardot, known for her distinctive blonde hair and svelte figure, was constantly under pressure to conform to the idealized standards of beauty. This expectation was not just from the industry, but also from her fans and the media, who idolized her as the epitome of feminine beauty. The effort to live up to this image involved grueling hours of makeup, hairstyling, and wardrobe fittings, often under the harsh glare of studio lights. The year 1965 marked a turning point for Bardot with the release of Viva Maria, directed by Louis Malle. The film, a light-hearted adventure set in Central America, required Bardot to perform physically demanding scenes, including stunts and dance sequences. The role showcased her versatility and physical prowess, but also added to the physical strain she was experiencing. Behind the scenes, Bardot's health began to suffer due to the relentless pace of her work and the demands of her public image. She faced bouts of exhaustion and stress, which were exacerbated by the invasive nature of the press. Her personal life, particularly her tumultuous relationship with musician Serge Gainsbourg, was a constant source of media speculation, adding to her emotional burden. The culmination of these pressures led to a series of health crises for Bardot. In 1967, she experienced a nervous breakdown, a clear sign of the toll that years in the spotlight had taken. The incident was a wake-up call, highlighting the need for a balance between her career and her well-being. Relationship turmoil. Brigitte Bardot's personal life, particularly her romantic relationships, was as tumultuous and publicized as her career. Her liaisons, often with high-profile figures, were a constant source of media fascination and speculation, adding layers of complexity to her already demanding life. One of Bardot's most significant relationships was with her first husband, French film director Roger Vadim. They married in 1952 when Bardot was just 18 and Vadim was 25. Vadim, who directed Bardot in And God Created Woman in 1956, played a pivotal role in shaping her early film career and public image. However, their marriage was fraught with challenges, including Vadim's reported infidelities and the pressures of working together in the demanding film industry. Their divorce in 1957 was a public affair, adding to the scrutiny Bardot faced from the press and her fans. Following her separation from Vadim, Bardot's personal life continued to be a subject of public intrigue. In 1959, she began a relationship with actor Jacques Charrier, whom she married the same year. Their marriage was marked by intense media attention, particularly during Bardot's pregnancy. The birth of their son, Nicolas Jacques Charrier, in 1960, was a media event, with the press invading the hospital and reporting every detail. The marriage, strained by the constant public attention and Bardot's career demands, ended in divorce in 1962. Bardot's relationship with musician Serge Gainsbourg in the late 1960s further fueled media interest. Their collaboration on the song Je t'aime, moi non plus in 1967 became a sensation, notorious for its explicit lyrics and sensuality. The song, initially recorded with Bardot, was later re-recorded with Jane Birkin, but the controversy surrounding it and Bardot's involvement with Gainsbourg kept her in the headlines. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Bardot's romantic life continued to be a focal point of her public persona. Her relationships, including a brief marriage to German millionaire playboy Günter Sachs and a longer relationship with sculptor Miroslav Brožek, were characterized by intense passion but also instability and heartache. The impact of these tumultuous relationships on Bardot's personal and professional life was significant. Each relationship brought its own set of challenges and public scrutiny, often overshadowing her career achievements and contributing to the emotional strain she experienced. Bardot's romantic life, while a source of fascination for the public, was a reflection of her search for love and stability in a world where she was constantly under the microscope. Media scrutiny and public perception. The 1970s marked a period where Brigitte Bardot's relationship with the media and her public perception reached a critical juncture. The intense scrutiny she faced from the press was both a driving force behind her fame and a source of personal distress. Bardot's every move, choice, and appearance were subject to analysis and often criticism. The media's obsession with her personal life, particularly her romantic relationships, led to invasive reporting and speculation. This constant attention made it challenging for Bardot to maintain any sense of normalcy or privacy. In 1973, Bardot's life under the media microscope took a dramatic turn with the release of the film Don Juan, or If Don Juan Were a Woman, directed by Roger Vadim. The film, which featured Bardot in a bold and provocative role, further fueled the media's fascination with her. However, the attention was not solely on her performance, but also on her personal life, blurring the lines between the character she played and her real-life persona. The portrayal of Bardot in the media often oscillated between admiration and objectification. While she was celebrated for her beauty and talent, she was also reduced to a mere sex symbol, a narrative that overshadowed her achievements as an actress and an individual. The public perception of Bardot was shaped significantly by how the media chose to portray her, often ignoring the complexities of her character and the challenges she faced. Bardot's relationship with the press reached a breaking point in the mid-1970s. Tired of the relentless scrutiny and the impact it was having on her life, she made the bold decision to step away from the film industry. This retreat from public life was a response to the overwhelming pressure of living in the constant glare of the media spotlight. The transition to activism. In the late 1970s, Brigitte Bardot, once the epitome of cinematic glamour, embarked on a markedly different path, channeling her energies and influence into the world of activism, particularly animal rights. This shift was a significant departure from her previous life in the public eye. After announcing her retirement from the film industry in 1973, Bardot's interest in animal welfare began to take a more active and public form. In 1977, she established the Brigitte Bardot Foundation for the welfare and protection of animals. This move was a clear indication of her commitment to the cause, marking the beginning of her full-fledged involvement in activism. Bardot's efforts in animal rights were diverse and impactful. She was particularly vocal against the fur trade, using her public platform to condemn the cruelty involved in fur production. Her campaigns were not just limited to France. She took her advocacy to an international level, addressing issues such as the clubbing of baby seals in Canada and the slaughter of dolphins in Japan. One of Bardot's notable campaigns during this period was her fight against the hunting of baby seals in Canada. In 1977, she traveled to the ice floes of the Canadian Arctic, participating in a widely publicized protest that brought international attention to the issue. Her involvement was instrumental in raising awareness and eventually led to changes in hunting practices and regulations. Bardot's activism was not without controversy. Her outspoken nature and the fervor with which she approached her campaigns sometimes drew criticism and legal challenges. She faced lawsuits and public backlash for some of her more contentious positions, particularly those that intersected with cultural practices and industries. Despite these challenges, Bardot remained undeterred in her activism. She continued to be a prominent figure in animal rights, using her fame and resources to support various campaigns and initiatives. Her foundation became a recognized and influential organization in the fight for animal welfare, contributing to policy changes and raising awareness about animal rights issues. Brigitte Bardot's transition from film star to animal rights activist marked a significant shift in her life's focus. Her active and passionate involvement in the cause demonstrated a commitment to making a difference in an area she deeply cared about. Controversies and legal battles. Brigitte Bardot's foray into activism, while marked by her passionate commitment to animal rights, also led her into a series of controversies and legal battles that further thrust her into the public eye, albeit in a different context than her film career. One of the more contentious aspects of Bardot's activism was her outspoken criticism of certain cultural practices that she viewed as cruel to animals. This stance often put her at odds with various groups and led to accusations of cultural insensitivity. Her vocal opposition to practices such as bullfighting in Spain and ritual slaughter methods used in some religious traditions sparked significant debate and controversy. Bardot's unfiltered approach to expressing her views on these issues sometimes led to legal challenges. In France, she faced multiple lawsuits for inciting racial hatred due to her comments on immigration and the treatment of animals in certain communities. These legal battles were widely covered in the media, adding a complex layer to her public persona. In 1997, Bardot was convicted for the first time for inciting racial hatred following a letter she published in Le Figaro, a French newspaper. This conviction was a significant moment, as it highlighted the potential consequences of her often provocative statements. Despite this, Bardot continued to be an outspoken figure, unafraid to voice her opinions on matters she felt strongly about. The controversies surrounding Bardot were not limited to her activism. Her personal life and relationships continued to be a subject of public interest, with the media closely following her legal and personal struggles. These aspects of her life, intertwined with her public campaigns, painted a picture of a woman constantly in the midst of turmoil. Mental health struggles. Throughout her life, Brigitte Bardot faced significant challenges with her mental health, struggles that were often overshadowed by her public persona. Despite her glamorous image and successful career, Bardot's personal battles with depression and emotional well-being painted a starkly different picture of her life behind the scenes. Bardot's mental health issues became public knowledge during the 1960s. The immense pressure of constant media attention, coupled with the personal challenges she faced in her relationships and career, took a heavy toll on her. The relentless scrutiny and the demands of living in the spotlight led to periods of severe depression and anxiety. In 1966, Bardot's struggles culminated in a highly publicized suicide attempt. This incident was a distressing indication of the depth of her mental health issues. It brought to light the immense burden that fame and public life had placed on her, a burden that was often hidden beneath the facade of her celebrity status. Following this incident, Bardot sought to regain control over her life and health. She took steps to address her mental well-being, retreating from the public eye periodically and seeking solace in her personal life and later in her activism. However, the path to recovery was a challenging one, marked by ups and downs. The media's coverage of Bardot's mental health struggles was a double-edged sword. While it brought attention to the often overlooked issue of mental health, particularly among celebrities, it also invaded her privacy, adding to the pressures she already faced. Bardot's experience highlighted the complex relationship between public figures and the media, especially regarding personal and sensitive matters such as mental health. Retreat from the limelight. By the late 1970s, Brigitte Bardot, once the center of cinematic attention and a subject of relentless media focus, began to retreat from the limelight. This withdrawal marked a significant shift in her life, as she sought to distance herself from the pressures and scrutiny that had defined much of her career. Bardot's decision to step back from her film career was influenced by several factors. The continuous media attention and the impact it had on her mental health were significant contributors. She found the constant scrutiny and invasion of privacy increasingly unbearable, leading her to seek a quieter, more private life. Additionally, Bardot's growing commitment to animal rights activism played a role in her decision to leave the film industry. As her passion for this cause deepened, she chose to dedicate more of her time and resources to activism, a path that offered her a sense of purpose and fulfillment far removed from the world of cinema. The transition away from her career as an actress was gradual. Bardot's final film appearance was in the 1973 movie The Edifying and Joyous Story of Colin, after which she did not return to acting. Instead, she focused on her personal life and her burgeoning role as an animal rights advocate. Bardot's retreat from the public eye was a move towards self-preservation and a search for peace away from the public gaze. She spent her time away from the spotlight in her home in Saint-Tropez, where she found solace in the tranquility and privacy it offered. This period also allowed Bardot to reflect on her life and career. She had spent decades in the public eye, her image and personal life dissected and discussed by fans and critics alike. Stepping back from this world gave her the opportunity to rediscover herself away from the expectations and demands of fame. The unseen Bardot. As Brigitte Bardot stepped away from the public eye, she embraced a life that allowed her to explore and engage in interests that were often unseen and unknown to the wider public. This chapter of her life, away from the glare of the spotlight, revealed facets of her personality and passions that had been overshadowed by her celebrity status. In the quietude of her life in Saint-Tropez, Bardot found a sanctuary. Here she indulged in her love for animals, surrounding herself with pets and dedicating her time to the care and protection of animals through her foundation. This work was not just a pastime. It was a deep commitment that gave her a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Bardot also explored other interests that had been sidelined during her hectic career. She developed a passion for gardening, finding peace and joy in tending to her plants and flowers. This hobby allowed her to connect with nature and provided a therapeutic escape from the complexities of her past life. Moreover, Bardot's interest in writing came to the forefront. She authored several books, including memoirs and works on animal rights. Through writing, she found a voice that was entirely her own, unfiltered and unaffected by scripts or directors. It was a medium through which she could express her thoughts, experiences, and beliefs candidly. Despite her withdrawal from acting in the public domain, Bardot remained a subject of fascination and admiration. Her legacy as an actress and a fashion icon continued to influence generations. However, the Bardot that emerged in this later phase of her life was one who was more grounded in her personal convictions and far removed from the trappings of fame.
Elizabeth Olsen failed a lie detector test, Jackie Chan had no idea who the Kardashians are, and Joan Rivers told Gwyneth Paltrow why her husband left. These aren't rumors. These are real interviews, and they only get more brutal from here.
You see, okay, it's just getting a little dinosaur in your...
No, look, I don't want to do that.
Joan Rivers goes nuclear on Gwyneth Paltrow. She was never afraid to go for the jugular, but her comments about Gwyneth Paltrow in 2012 went beyond a punchline. During a red carpet exchange, Rivers dropped one of her sharpest jabs ever and didn't blink doing it. It started like any other offhand conversation. Gwyneth's name came up, and someone suggested they should be careful. Joan, of course, doubled down instead of backing off.
Let's draw the line at Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, don't start.
I know.
Don't start.
That's why I asked.
Don't start. She suddenly doesn't like me. Look who doesn't like me. I'm a vegan. I won't eat anything with eyes. That's why your husband left you.
Rivers had a long-standing reputation for saying the unsayable, but this hit differently. She wasn't making a fashion critique. She was dragging someone's personal life into the spotlight and tossing it back with a smirk. The clip exploded online. Even people who weren't Team Gwyneth couldn't believe she went there. And while some called it tasteless, others saw it as classic Joan. Never filtered, never afraid. At 77 years old, she wasn't chasing clout or worried about backlash. She was just doing what she'd always done, ripping the veil off Hollywood politeness with one-liners that hit like wrecking balls. And whether you laughed, gasped, or cringed, you didn't forget it. Miriam Margolyes hates Mamma Mia. Out loud. Most actors smile through bad movie talk. Miriam Margolyes isn't most actors. During a panel interview in 2014, someone brought up Mamma Mia, probably expecting polite praise or at least a neutral nod. What they got instead was brutal honesty delivered with zero hesitation. She didn't just criticize the film, she did it right in front of someone who had been in it.
Mamma Mia. He was very good in Mamma Mia. Did you see that?
That was a dreadful film.
That was it. No build-up, no soft landing. Just a full stop. Dreadful. Plenty of critics have dunked on Mamma Mia over the years, but none did it like this, face to face with that dry British delivery that somehow made it even more savage. Online, the clip got reposted with titles like Miriam Margolyes ends Mamma Mia in 3 words and the most honest actress in the world. And honestly, it wasn't far off. She didn't insult the cast. She didn't drag the plot. Just the overall product. Dreadful. No elaboration needed. It's one thing to give an honest review. It's another to do it on camera, sitting next to the person who starred in it. And for Miriam, that was just a regular Tuesday. Jim Carrey exposes the all-mocking tongue. His appearances have always walked the line between comedy and chaos, but in 2014 he blew straight past the line on live television. While guesting on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he walked out to thunderous applause and immediately went off script. Instead of small talk or promoting a movie, he launched into a bizarre, over-the-top rant about secret societies and hidden symbols in Hollywood. The audience laughed,
until they realized he wasn't joking.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Kimmel tried to steer the conversation back to normal, but Jim kept going, wagging his tongue and throwing up exaggerated hand signs. The vibe shifted from, he's being silly, to, wait, is he serious? For anyone unfamiliar with Carey's later career, the moment felt jarring. But for fans who had followed his growing disillusionment with Hollywood, this was just another mask coming off. Clips of the segment were reposted everywhere, with conspiracy channels using it as evidence, while others chalked it up to Carey just being Carey. Either way, it was unforgettable. Most stars use late-night appearances to plug something. Carey used his to throw a Molotov cocktail into pop culture and walk away grinning. To this day, people still debate whether he meant every word or was just trolling an entire industry on its own stage. Jim Carrey declares Fashion Week meaningless. Red carpets are designed for flattering sound bites and polite nods. But Jim Carrey wasn't playing along. While attending Harper's Bazaar's Icons party during New York Fashion Week in 2017, E! News tried to grab a quick interview. What they got instead was an existential takedown of the entire event. Carrey walked in solo, didn't smile for cameras, and then hijacked the conversation with a kind of surreal honesty that had the reporter visibly stunned.
I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons.
in
Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with.
He went on to question the entire idea of celebrity worship, suggesting none of it really matters, and that essentially everyone at the event was pretending to be important. Which, to be fair, didn't exactly pair well with the designer tux he was wearing. Clips from the moment went viral for all the right reasons. One side of the internet called it iconic, the other called it uncomfortable. Either way, nobody forgot it. This wasn't funny Jim or rubber-faced goofball Jim. This was raw, philosophical Jim at a party full of people who just wanted a photo op. And he didn't just crash the vibe, he crushed it, then handed the mic back like nothing happened. Jackie Chan doesn't know the Kardashians. By 2017, the Kardashians were everywhere. Magazine covers, product lines, and weekly headlines, but apparently no one told Jackie Chan. During an interview on the Graham Norton show, the topic came up, and Jackie's reaction turned into one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments of the night. Natalie Portman was on the couch with him and casually brought up the Kardashians as part of a game. Jackie had questions. Or rather, he had no clue what was going on.
Out, Natalie said, we're going to have you name your favorite Kardashian. Who do you like?
Kardashian? What do you mean Kardashian?
Do you know the Kardashians? It's even better.
I don't know.
You don't know them.
Is that English?
That's English.
I never heard that
they're
before.
They're Armenian, but yes, they're English.
Okay.
It was hard to tell if he was being sarcastic or genuinely baffled. But either way, it landed. The audience cracked up, and Norton could barely contain himself. It wasn't even a dig, just full-on confusion from one of the most globally recognized action stars alive. In an era where being online is basically part of the job, Jackie's disconnect was weirdly refreshing. He didn't pretend to know. He didn't fake it for laughs. He just straight up asked, "Is that English?" The clip hit millions of views within days and became a staple in celebrities out of touch with pop culture compilations. But in Jackie's case, it didn't come off as snobby. It was just classic Jackie, direct, clueless, and somehow still endearing. For a guy who's performed hundreds of death-defying stunts, facing the Kardashian family name might have been the only thing that actually stumped him. Patti LuPone destroys Madonna's acting career. When Patti LuPone talks about Broadway, people listen. When she talks about Madonna, things get loud. In a 2017 interview, LuPone was asked about Evita, a role she famously originated on stage and Madonna later played on screen. Her response instantly became one of the most vicious takedowns ever aired. No hesitation, no filter, just full blast.
I did meet her after her opening night party, and the only thing that Madonna has ever said to me was, "I'm taller than you." Well, Madonna is a movie killer. She's dead behind the eyes. She cannot act her way out of a paper bag. She should not be in film or on stage. She's a wonderful, performer for what she does, but she is not an actress. Bang!
There's no reading between the lines here. Patti didn't just critique Madonna's acting, she eviscerated it. The movie killer line went viral instantly. Theater blogs, entertainment sites, and even mainstream outlets picked it up. Some defended Madonna, but most people just stared at their screens like, did she really say that? Yes, on national television, calmly, with that tone people use when they're talking about expired milk, mild disgust with finality. To be fair, LuPone wasn't attacking her as a singer or performer. She even acknowledged that Madonna had her own lane. But when it came to acting, she shut that door, locked it, and tossed the key. In a sea of PR-trained stars dodging real opinions, this was a sledgehammer to the system. No apology, no walking it back, and no one tried to clap back either. Madonna never responded publicly, and honestly, what could she have said? Ricky Gervais obliterates Hollywood, then drops Weinstein. By the time Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes for the 5th time in 2020, everyone knew what was coming. He was going to roast the room. What no one expected was how far he'd go. He didn't just poke fun at celebrities, he steamrolled them, and then, right in the middle of it all, he dropped a line about Harvey Weinstein that made the entire audience freeze.
Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the up.
This wasn't your usual award show dig. It was a direct call-out to the industry's most shameful open secret, spoken right into the mic with half of Hollywood sitting 10 feet away. For anyone still pretending Gervais was just being cheeky, this was the moment it became clear he was done playing nice, and he wasn't worried about offending the people in the room. The cameras caught stars shifting in their seats, side eyes flying in every direction, and a whole lot of fake smiles trying to survive the next 30 seconds. The clip racked up millions of views within hours. It was bold, it was harsh, and it was exactly what made Gervais's hosting gig unforgettable. He wasn't roasting for laughs, he was torching the room on live TV. Elizabeth Olsen's lie detector slip-up. She has always come off as calm, grounded, and PR-savvy, so when she agreed to do Vanity Fair's infamous lie detector test, no one expected her to say anything that'd raise eyebrows. And yet, 30 seconds in, she served one of the most backhanded moments to ever hit YouTube. The question? A casual comparison between Olsen and musician-turned-actress Danielle Haim, who starred in Licorice Pizza.
Do you think you're a better actor than her?
Yeah. No, I loved the film, and I thought she was great in it.
She's lying about the film.
About what, liking the film?
That's correct.
Oh, I did like the film.
Or about her acting.
Oh, yeah, she was fine. F***, man. Sorry, Danielle.
That moment, less than half a minute, told viewers more than a 10-minute monologue ever could. The look on her face when the polygraph guy cut her off? Panic wrapped in a smile. She tried to double back, but the quote was already out there. The apology at the end only made it worse. It wasn't a full takedown. It was worse. It was honest. The internet turned it into a meme in hours. Fans called it shady. Others called it relatable. And Danielle Haim? She never responded publicly, which says even more. One of the first rules of Hollywood is, pretend everyone's great. But this wasn't a talk show. It was a machine wired to her pulse, and it clocked her real opinion in seconds. Olsen didn't mean to go viral, but that's exactly why she did. Timothy Oliphant accidentally calls out Patton Oswalt. He usually keeps it cool, low-key charming, quick with dry humor, never too serious. But during a 2023 talk show interview, he got a little too honest while talking about what it's like working on set. What started as a casual conversation turned into an accidental name drop that caught everyone off guard. He was asked if anyone on the set of Justified was difficult to work with. His response was vague. At first.
You're saying of all those people, not one person was a jerk?
We had we had one or two douchebags, that kind of thing.
Tell me, I love your show, I watch it. Who was a douchebag that was on
you met him. You met him. He was on this show. I mean, I don't want to name names. We're not going to name names. But
the only person from your show that I've interviewed on this show is Patton Oswalt.
Well, that's my bad.
Oliphant paused for half a second, then realized what had just happened. Too late. The host cracked up, the audience laughed, and the clip basically confirmed what nobody was supposed to know. He tried to backtrack, but it was done. That "my bad" hit like a confession. To be clear, he never actually said Patton Oswalt was the problem. But the sequence of comments and reactions did all the work for him. It was less of a slam and more of a slip, but it still hit just as hard. The moment went viral for how casual it was. No yelling, no drama, just a smooth, unintentional takedown that felt way too real. Oliphant didn't seem rattled. He laughed it off, kept the conversation moving, and probably made a few people very nervous in the process. If there's one way to wrap up a video about stars getting real, it's by watching a nice guy accidentally air someone's dirty laundry on national television. Miriam Margolyes tells the brutal truth about aging. She has never been shy, but at 82, she somehow got even more honest. During a candid 2023 conversation, she didn't just talk about getting older, she steamrolled the filter most people use to discuss it. The moment started as a typical back and forth about memory and age. Then she dropped a line that left the room howling.
I remember things. It's just when you're 82, you don't suck anymore. You don't, it's...
You don't?
I don't.
There was no time to react. The delivery was too fast, too raw, and too perfectly timed. It was classic Miriam. Bold, inappropriate, and completely fearless. The line was vulgar, sure, but somehow landed with warmth. That's her magic. She says what other people won't, and somehow makes it sound like a public service announcement. What made this one land so hard wasn't just the content. It was the truth underneath it. She wasn't fishing for laughs. She wasn't trying to shock. She was just telling the truth about what happens when you stop caring what people think. Fans online instantly clipped it, quoting it across TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter. Some called her a national treasure. Others said she needs a podcast immediately. But everyone agreed. No one else says it like Miriam. She didn't sugarcoat aging. She didn't glamorize it either. She just dropped the mic in 8 words and moved on.